everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the festival director and program director of Something Wicked Film Festival and Events, and we have an amazing show for you today. Why, do you ask? It's because we're going to be speaking about a movie that I absolutely adore, and even though it may not be the best movie out there, it's one hell of a fun movie. We're going to be speaking about the movie Re-Animator from with my special guest this week, Jim Adams and Sarah Panozzo. Jim Adams is the host of Monster Attack! Exclamation point, another fine podcast out there in which he discusses classic and cult horror, fantasy, sci-fi films as well. And then, of course, there's Sarah Panozzo, who is joining us again to discuss all this craziness. We're all from different generations. We're going to discuss this movie. We're going to get down and dirty with it, and it's going to be great. And we're happy that you are joining us on this conversation. So without further ado, I want to thank both my guests for coming in, Jim and Sarah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
Excellent. And we're going to get right into it by delving deep.
Yeah.
What your reactions were when you first saw the movie Re-Animator. Who wants to take this first, Jim or you, Sarah?
Well, I saw it when it first came out. If that means that, actually, I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it when it first got released on home video, and that's where it really developed it. I mean, it did well. It came out in the theaters, and I think it grossed a little more than $2 million on its opening weekend, off of a estimated $900,000 budget, which that's not too bad, but it really found a home on VHS. I mean, that's, people started buzzing about that. I just happened to be in a video store the weekend that one came out, and I said, this looks sort of interesting. I like H.P. Lovecraft. And I hadn't read the novella in a while. I mean, I'd read it back in high school. So it's nothing like the novella, I'm here to tell you, because I went back and reread it just about like a month ago. I was like, but still, I think Stuart Gordon captures the essence and a bit more, shall we say. This is like H.P. Lovecraft on steroids. I mean,
I saw somebody compare it to like if H.P. Lovecraft was Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because the comic elements of this movie are just, I mean, they're hysterical. So it's definitely... it launches the career of Jeffrey Combs, who'd only made a couple of films before this time. And this first time I remember seeing him, and he's become one of my favorite character actors. We're about the same age. And so I look for films and things that he's in. Of course, Star Trek fans, he's been in all kinds of Star Trek episodes, in Enterprise and Deep Space Nine. So he's had quite a career after this one, although he says I didn't get rich off of Re-Animator, but somebody did. So it's still making money now. So it's I gotta say it absolutely blew me away. I had not seen anything quite like that up until that point, so it was nice to see something different.
How about you, Panozzo? How was your reaction when you first saw this movie?
Well, my reaction is still fresh in my brain because I've only seen it for the first time a day or so ago.
Oh my God, it's virgin. Oh my God.
Yes, it's been on my list for a long time. I mean, like growing up and seeing just the cover over and over again and the glowing green vial, like it's like, what it is, but then like I've never actually seen it. And I was expecting a lot more like dark Lovecraft. And then I was watching it and I was like, this is like the Evil Dead of
absolutely.
H.P. Lovecraft. It was so much fun. There was a little bit of grody-ness that I was like, okay, I could have done without this scene. I feel squicky, but like it was so funny. I mean, like the cat, oh my gosh, the whole thing is just so ridiculous, and I just adored it. It was so much fun.
So I saw it roughly when it came out as well. I knew nothing about the movie when I saw it. I was a child of the video store, and the movie captured my attention with the video box and the poster. That's what made me watch the movies. And having grown up in the 80s, I was readily, in the mix.
Weren't you a little young to be breaking in on a movie like that?
Hell no, dude.
Okay.
I was roughly 11, 12 years old when this movie freaking came
Oh, yeah,
out.
perfect. Okay,
perfect
you're right.
age.
Yep, that's perfect. Yeah, okay.
And my mother, as I've said before, watched horror movies, which allowed me to watch horror movies. And my father, being the very free-willed person he was with us, allowed me to actually rent whatever the heck I wanted. So I got to see all these type of movies when they came out. And my dad didn't care what it was I watched.
Yeah, because this was R-rated when it got. I mean, they released it in the theater. Its opening weekend in the theater, it was unrated. And they were running into some problems because back then theaters wouldn't run unrated movies because they'd automatically assume they were XXX or whatever. So he actually pulled some of the gore out. Hard to believe, but as gory as this movie is.
Yeah,
and then
they
got the R rating.
It's not even like as gory as you would think most of like the movies nowadays are.
Oh, true.
With rated R. I mean,
it's funny gore. That's what
it really is. Like I think that Friday the 13th was a lot more gory and realistic than this was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but keep in mind that the 80s were filled with these type of movies from Return of the Living Dead, and then you had everything from Night of the Creeps, and
another classic.
We were all into this whole comedy horror thing.
Yeah.
And
Return of the Living Dead. Really set it off.
They're gory, but they're also funny and they're hilarious. And this film, I actually think this film is probably one of the earlier films for me that actually had nudity in it in terms of horror movies.
Oh, it had some classic nudity. Yeah.
It did.
I mean, it opens right away with like a pair of tits just like dying on a table.
Yeah. and then Barbara Crampton's career got launched off this movie. And when
David Gale got divorced because of it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, as I always said, to folks about this movie, David Gale should have quit while he was ahead, but just had to take it that extra step.
Really got to.
I'm still stunned. I've got a lot of friends who don't like this movie because they're H.P. Lovecraft fans, but I think you can be an H.P. Lovecraft fan and love this movie. And I almost get. I mean, I don't claim to be a Lovecraft expert, but I think he'd get a real kick out of this, out of what Stuart Gordon did with his novella, Herbert West Re-Animator. Because about the only similarities is the cat. He had a cat in both of them, but the whole idea of the obsession and stuff, which really attracted me to the film more than anything else. It was like Herbert West he's like the most psychotic Dr. Frankenstein that's ever existed on film. I mean, he can't stop doing his experiments no matter what. It just gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and it just gets so out of hand. It's in about 10 minutes of this film, it is so out of hand. It's, oh my God, I'm laughing.
Everybody
now.
just like keeps going with it. Like they try to stop him, and then they're like, no, never mind. Let's just join in. It's going to be great.
And while everything's going to hell in a handbasket, hey, let's pull out the reanimate stuff and hit them again. It's like, no.
Well, yeah, you kind of wonder how anyone would actually trust him to be a student in the school after the opening sequence where he's...
Oh, I know.
Right. And then
he literally gets killed his teacher, and then he's in America going to a high-profile store, Miskatonic University.
Yeah.
And I love that he's got that little boy look. I mean, he's really, he's so young when he does this. And he just, looks at him and says, I didn't kill him. I didn't do it. It's like, but he's holding the damn syringe in his hand, and this guy's going nuts.
And his eyeballs pop out, and you're just like, "What is happening?"
Oh, and then and he crushes his own head. I mean, what a way to open a film up! Oh my God, that's like I'm surprised somebody didn't jump on that and use it for a headache commercial because it's a perfect visual.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I have to look it up to see when Scanners came out, when people were seeing heads.
Scanners was late 70s. So Scanners had come out before this. Yeah, the exploding head had come out earlier.
Some people were just already.
I love that.
So I just wanted to tell everyone out there who if you've never seen Re-Animator, Herbert West is this crazy doctor, or almost doctor,
almost
doctor who thinks that he can revive dead tissue and dead people, but his problem is that he can't seem to get past his threshold where the soul, so to speak, and I guess it's more of a soul in like beyond Re-Animator, returns after death. It seems to be a state of complete anarchy and feralness every time he revives someone who's human or dead, as we see in the cat. So,
and the thing he doesn't think about is that a lot of times these people died violent deaths, and he's reanimating them. So it's like, okay, dummy. I mean, the guy died of like a broken back, and you're bringing him back. He's not going to feel real good when he comes back.
Well, and it was so interesting, like seeing some of the cast lists where they were like woman with slit wrists and all these other things, and it's like they all based all of those characters after actual dead bodies from a Cook County jail or the Cook County coroner, which is how they based the morgue. And I was just like, that's so like it's so disgusting. The extensive research you had to go through that, and it was one of the first movies to do like the blood pooling in the body, which is like scientifically accurate. But it's so much fun. Plus the fact that the first person they revive is like Arnold Schwarzenegger's stunt double.
Oh my God.
It's like, why would you choose the biggest guy in there?
He's obviously the youngest guy. They don't really know what he died of, but they look under the sheet and goes, he's in good physical shape, and it's all like, it's like, just walk away from this one. You do not. This is one you don't want to revive, especially after you've been attacked by a cat. That when he was running around with the cat clawing him all over the place. So, I'm a cat lover, but I had to laugh on that one, even though it was like what they did to this poor cat.
Like insane. I don't think I realized it was a comedy at first until the cat scene. And then when it started just flying across the screen, and I was like, okay, this is where we're at.
Well, and him running around where obviously it's a fake cat, like glued to his back or tied onto his back.
And then they've got like
get it off.
The decrepit cat puppet where it's like coming up and it looks like what's his name from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's like this is a puppet. This is not a real cat.
Right.
Well, that's what makes it so effective, is that you're laughing at it because as an audience person, it's fake, but it's so funny that this horrifying thing is because Jeffrey Combs plays that scene so real.
Yes.
I know. He's brilliant. He's absolutely. He on many interviews he said he had no idea what he was getting into when he was recruited for this movie. He was doing a play in Hollywood, and said this guy just showed up and said, "Hey, we're doing a movie that we think you'd be right for." And he read this, and then he read the script. And he said he still didn't know what to make out of it, but said, what the hell? He needed the money, like any actor, good actor, just let's go ahead and do it.
Well, by the time he gets beyond Re-Animator, he knows Herbert West really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got one of the best lines in the whole movie. When with the severed head of Dr. Hill, and it's like I forgot, it's something like I wish I could quote it exactly, but it's like get a job in a sideshow or something.
Oh yeah, well that's actually quite funny because when you're watching the movie, Herbert West has this weird animosity towards Dr. Hill because he knows Dr. Hill stole all of the German doctors.
The guy that he murdered.
Yeah, the one he murdered. It was all of his notes and stuff were stolen by Dr. Hill, and of course he wants to prove that Hill is wrong. I think the only reason why, when I was rewatching the movie, I now think the only reason why he went to Miskatonic is to prove to Dr. Hill that he's nothing but a fraud, and he.
Yes.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Because he was supposed to be like this big scientific professional, like studied all these things. The doctor's name was Hans Gruber, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, yes.
But no, like he studied all these things. He's supposed to be super professional, and then he's taking like a beginner's course with Dr. Hill just to prove a point, and he just sits there snapping pencils.
I love that. The pencil scene's great.
So Dr. Hill says, yells at Herbert West, "Get a pen."
Get a pen, yeah.
Oh my God.
But no, definitely. I think he came to Miskatonic to put this guy in his place.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I didn't have that
because he says right out of the blocks, he says, "I'm very familiar with your work, very familiar, or whatever."
Oh my god! And that animosity plays real well in the entire film, obviously.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hill can't stand Herbert West, and then of course he tries to take his research and stuff for his own, and then he gets killed for it. So,
but he gets reanimated for it as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Now, one of the things I did find more hilarious now than I probably did before is when after he's killed Dr. Hill, he's trying to prop the damn head up of Dr. Hill.
Oh my god, on the spike.
I don't know if I recall seeing that before this time. That shit had me rolling.
Oh, it's hilarious.
It was so good. I don't know what was better, if it was that or when Dr. Hill's body walks in with the big sculpture of the dissected head on in the scrubs. And meanwhile, the security guard is just sitting there like, okay, I'm going to keep reading my porn.
Reading Boudoir magazine.
These are the things I didn't notice the first 100 times I've seen the movie, because I've seen the movie a lot.
That's a good trivia question for a movie trivia thing. Is what's the magazine that the security guard's reading?
Oh my god, you could probably do a shit ton of stuff on this movie alone. Not to mention if you add Bride the Re-Animator in there, there's so much stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, and again, I was looking, because I think it's been a while since I've seen Bride. I always confuse Bride and Beyond with each other, because I had a copy of, well, I still do. I still have a copy of Beyond, which is the one where he's in a Mexican prison.
Correct.
Which is a movie within itself. We ought to talk about that one down the road. That's so hilarious too. But Bride, Bride sort of picks up where this one left off a little bit.
Now, I do want to bring up the story, Kane's story.
Yeah.
Up until this recent time I saw it, and I could be naive when I originally saw this film, the 100 times I've seen it. It wasn't until this time I watched it that I realized how innocent his character is.
Oh my god! Yeah, you feel so sorry for the guy.
Like he's is thrown in this whole situation, and he doesn't want to do it at all, and then he freaking collapses because he's in shock at one point, and he feels so guilty. He has to go to his girl to explain everything about her, what happened to her father. I was like, I don't remember any of this, but
and what happened to the cat? No,
yeah,
he is so much more innocent in this movie than he is in Bride of Re-Animator.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, yeah, because Bride of Re-Animator, I mean, at the end of this one, he sort of, I don't say becomes Herbert West, but he falls. He succumbs to the temptation to bring his girlfriend. He
becomes the Renfield of Dr. Frankenstein.
Yep, perfect.
But no, it made me think that Meg knew more than she was letting on, like maybe through the dean, like he had told her some stuff about West beforehand, because she kept being like, no, do not let this creep stay with you. Yeah. And she just wouldn't say anything. And it's like, do you know something or not? Because like, if he killed the last person he worked with, like, get rid of this guy.
Yeah, I got that impression too.
Yeah, how did he get into Miskatonic? I mean, it seemed like that would have been easy to cross-reference. He was suspected in Sweden or whatever of killing his professor.
Well, with the Meg character, and I didn't notice that until I just recently watched again. You're right, Panozzo. From the very beginning, she's like trying to tell Kane that there's something wrong with him. You need to get rid of him. Like. This is before the missing cat. This is
Oh yeah.
So
before he even rents the room.
Yeah. She knows something about Herbert West that Kane doesn't know, and it's maybe she's the soothsayer or whatever you want to have, the Ralph character of this movie or something. But it's something I didn't pick up on the first few times, because obviously when I'm watching the film in '85, I'm fucking a young teenage kid.
Yeah, we know what you were looking at.
Yeah.
You know what I was looking at when I was
Hell, I wasn't a young teenage kid, and I was looking at it like everybody else was.
This is why this is a great conversation to have, is because we have 3 different generations watching this movie. We all have a different perspective.
Well, what's so cool? so when I saw it, it was way before, it was 1985 or whatever. So way before social media. So when social media comes out, and I find Barbara Crampton's, got a site on Facebook and on Twitter, and and she's very accessible and talks about this all the time. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kudos to Barbara. I mean, she really, she held on to this one and went with it.
Yeah, she bared it all.
I mean, it was a gutsy performance. I mean,
it really
back
was.
then, it really was. I mean, that's like just, nudity has become sort of had its moments in 80s and 90s movies where it's pretty prevalent, died back a little bit, but it's sort of sneaking back in again. But still, that was a pretty gutsy move for her to do. I mean, that's,
Well, it was. She must have enjoyed the experience of doing this, because then she went off and did From Beyond.
From Beyond right after that.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So, moving on to Stuart Gordon, who when I first saw this movie, I didn't know who the heck Stuart Gordon was. I don't think I really knew who he was.
I didn't either. Yeah.
For a while, I had seen his movies. Dolls was another favorite of mine.
Yes. Yeah.
I may not have known who he was until something like Space Truckers, when I got older.
I wondered, because I grew up being a huge fan of Burt I. Gordon, who did all the big bug movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, this guy comes out doing this wacko, horror comedy called Re-Animator, and I'm thinking, I wonder if this guy's like Bert's son or something. But so and you didn't really have the internet back then where you could just easily Google it. So it took hunting down some film books to figure out who this guy was.
Oh my God!
I mean, he's got an interesting story, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I love that he's from Chicago, because that's me. But like, I think it was so funny. I was looking at it today and I didn't realize that he did all the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movies.
Yes.
And I was like, those themselves are like Lovecraft horror for children.
Absolutely.
There's nothing more terrifying than giant ants coming to eat you.
Yeah, well, obviously they took his story and watered it down, but I would like to have seen his version of his own story.
Oh my God.
I'm sure he took the money and ran. Like so many other people. And I only say that because I recently actually just watched the entire trilogy of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movies.
Very underrated. They're excellent films.
Well, and I was going to say Dennis Paoli, who also wrote this,
yes.
he did Suitable Flesh, which we just watched a few weeks ago.
Oh.
And Barbara Crampton was in that as well.
Yep.
And it was another like weird Lovecraftian story.
I still need to see that one.
So it's really interesting seeing them side by side, because like they're both like really sex heavy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, and I think I can't remember if it was Stuart Gordon or if it was Dennis who said that they'd been quizzed on that one, because a lot of H.P. Lovecraft fans, this is their biggest criticism of these movies, and they said, but if you read Lovecraft, there's sexuality woven all, and that's one reason I wanted to go back and read Herbert West about a month ago, because on third shift I can do audiobooks now, so I can catch up on all kinds of reading. And it was like, it is sort of there. Yeah, it really is. There's some sexual elements, through it. I read not just that, but several of Lovecraft's novellas, and it was like, that does sort of work its way into a lot of his work.
Gotta hope so, because it's all up in Stuart Gordon's versions of his.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's like like I said, it's Lovecraft on steroids.
And I absolutely love what he's done with. I think don't quote me on this, but or don't think badly of me when I say this, but I think Stuart Gordon did some of the best H.P. Lovecraft adaptations out there.
It's really hard to get like a good adaptations.
Yeah,
it is hard. Yeah, it really is.
He just kept cranking them out up into. I keep wanting to think he did one after Dagon, but I don't remember if he did or didn't. I can't remember. But I absolutely love that one too. I need to put that one on a list for us to watch, because I keep forgetting to put that one on there. But Stuart Gordon has always been one of my favorites after having seen. I probably knew about it somewhere around Space Truckers. Is when
Space Truckers is definitely a classic.
I was like, Stuart Gordon, I've seen his films, and I went back and I said, oh shit, I have seen his. I've seen like all of his films. I love this guy. Space Truckers is like the
Oh, he owned a lot of the video stores there during this time period. He really did.
He did. And if no one else on a podcast mentions Stuart Gordon's Space Truckers, at least I have like 3 times now.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. Yeah, because I probably the one of his like that I'm a huge fan of is Robot Jocks.
I love Robot Jocks.
Yes, I mean I've watched that so many times over and over again, and I had the VHS, wore it out.
Oh my
and
God.
I still look for it streaming. It's just it's a Gary Graham tour de force. It's just such a fun film.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Stuart Gordon. No matter what movie he tackled, even with Dolls, as subtle as that is, it's still
Dolls is a good movie.
Fun and entertaining. And that's what he did with all of his films. I'm trying to remember the one where one of the later ones he did with the one where she accidentally almost kills the guy with a car. Oh my God, I can't remember the stupid movie's name. Oh, and I saw a preview of that before they actually released it, and I can't believe I don't remember it. But the idea that that movie could have been a normal movie, but with his sense of humor, he turns it on its head, and it was like, oh my God, Stuck. I had to look that one up. Sorry, guys. I had to look at Stuck.
Oh, Stuck. Yeah.
I forgot about that. A movie that could have been a normal dramatic movie, he turns it on its head with the comedy elements.
Yeah, because 2 years later he does From the Dark, which was like one of the last films he did, and it's another Miskatonic Herbert West Dan Kane extravaganza. I have not seen it though. I've got it's a short film, so I don't know if it's even available or not. But
and before I forget, he did do another one after Dagon, which was, I thought he did, with Masters of Horror, his episode Dreams in the
Masters of Horror, that's right.
I forgot about that one. So he was obsessed.
2 episodes on that show.
Yeah, he was obsessed with H.P. Lovecraft, and people who, like you said before, who really, really, really want that faithful adaptation probably are never going to get it.
Yeah, it's so hard trying to picture something scarier than what's already in your imagination for most of these creatures.
Exactly. That's a good point. So,
it's like watching
you put it on the screen. It ruins it.
I mean, it's like watching the color out of space and trying to put a color that nobody's seen before. Like they do a really good job with the purple. It's like it's a brilliantly shot movie. It's so pretty. Plus, Nick Cage. But like,
love that movie.
You just can't. The expanded mythos of all of his stuff that he's done has just led to so much more creation than probably any other sci-fi writer.
I you know what? I will probably agree with you on that one. You are absolutely right.
Absolutely. I think movies like Re-Animator, Brian of Re-Animator, and some of the other Stuart Gordon approaches to H.P. Lovecraft, I think opened up Lovecraft for people who might not have been inclined to read him.
Yeah.
I mean, you see Re-Animator, and it's almost like, I gotta go read this guy, if this is what it's based on,
Yeah.
I mean, even all the stuff that Carpenter did, he had his trilogy of basically Lovecraft stuff, Event Horizon. I mean,
oh, absolutely. Great example. Yeah.
They're such great stories to build off of one type of mythos.
Yes.
That like, it's just insane. And watching, I don't know if you've seen Guillermo del Toro's stop motion animation for In the Mountains of Madness.
No, I've not seen that. I'd like to.
They showed like a little 10-second clip of what he wanted to do, and it's going to be animated, and it looks brilliant.
Yeah, it does. It does. Sorry, I am writing down that we every once in a while, audience, we come across these movies that are not on our list to watch. Therefore, I need to put them on our list to watch, because the more crazy films that we mention on the
previews of coming attractions,
the more you'll enjoy the show in the future. And films like Event Horizon and The Color Out of Space are excellent movies that we can discuss in later episodes.
I would love to have a piece of Event Horizon. You can put me down for that one.
It's I love much fun.
That movie comes out about the same time as Saving Private Ryan, and I was almost holding them in the same high esteem. It was like I think I saw Private Ryan one week, and the next week went and saw Event Horizon because the clip, the trailer had been in the movie theater that week. It was like, two night and day ones, but I loved them both.
Oh, see, I had a Lovecraft weekend during COVID, and I watched The Thing for the first time, immediately followed by Event Horizon, and I was like, okay.
Oh, nice.
Oh
my
it was
God.
a fun weekend.
Yeah. Event Horizon will mess you up, man, if you're in the wrong frame of mind.
Yeah, and there's so many great one-liners that come from that movie.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God, we are all so horrible sometimes. Oh my God.
Well, I want to talk. I definitely in Re-Animator. There's a scene probably doesn't get discussed a whole lot, but I think when Meg's father gets it, it's one of the greatest death scenes I've ever seen.
The door just comes.
The door just.
Down.
I mean and that's the one when I first saw it for the first time. Yeah, okay, that was very redundant, isn't it? Anyway, but it's like I almost jumped out of my chair going, oh. It was just like, I never would have thought of that. Well, this bright, of course, this guy's jumping on the door, this big, bulky guy.
Well, and then I thought it was so funny because, like, you just watched this whole fight scene with the cat where they throw it into the wall and smash his brains against the wall. And then this guy literally does that to the dean.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh.
We got a running theme going here.
I never picked up on that until I just watched it too. I was like, "Oh my God!" Because
you're
paying more attention. They're like, "Oh shit, dude, this is such a very visual parallel right here." At least someone else picked up on that. I didn't notice that until I recently watched this. I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" Maybe Stark is a genius that we didn't realize was a genius.
Yeah.
Well, to put pen to paper for these kind of Lovecraft stories, you almost have to be. You have to be able to first understand what the hell he's writing and saying, but then to make it happen in real life.
Yeah, visualize it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And he kept going back to H.P. Lovecraft. So
yeah, he did.
We might have to do like a special month of screenings on conversations on H.P. Lovecraft movies directed.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they're so unique. I mean, he was such a unique writer.
Yes.
So that's a great point to pull up now, because with Re-Animator, it is so different. Even though it is a comedy horror, it is so different from other types of horror films.
Yeah.
And it's something that we should look into a little bit more, because that's like Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2, probably more so.
The
comedy aspects. The comedy aspects and the gore aspects are what has made these films endure with audiences. You keep watching Evil Dead 2 a billion times and you never.
Oh my God! Yes. Hey Mo.
I mean, I think one of the articles I saw said that this broke down the barrier between splatter movies and horror comedy, and it really did. It's a brilliant combination, and like normally with like splatter movies and like Hostel and stuff like that, like you try not to laugh at it because it's like disgusting, but then at some point it just becomes so funny just to like breathe.
You gotta let some pressure off. Yeah. But the sad part is it would be very hard to make a movie like this nowadays, because directors and studio people are so afraid of this whole, well, we may offend somebody bullshit, that it's like, Stuart, you can tell when he made this movie, he didn't give a damn. He just threw it out there. This is what I want to do. Yeah, but nowadays we don't get to see that much, except in maybe some real independent films that aren't dependent on studio money and that sort of thing. Because everybody gets offended at so many damn things now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like I wasn't even offended. It was just so grotesque. Like nothing else in this movie was really gross. Like I loved when like the body puts in the blood bag into like the little tray for the head, and I'm like, okay, that's great. But that just, like I said earlier, it made me feel so gross. Because it's like the only thing worse than like a person doing that without like letting them do that is a head doing that. Just a bleeding head.
Yeah.
But Gale, who's the actor for Hill, he does it so that he's enjoying the blood as
my God.
Oh, absolutely. I was waiting for him to go, feed me.
I know. He's got his little juice box. He's all good to go
Yeah,
again.
he's all ready to go, man. He's good to go. And then gets another shot of the Re-Animate.
Oh my, yeah, because he's slowly dying because he ain't got no blood coming through the brain.
And I just gotta say, like, that whole, like, his costumes, the way that they did the headless body was just genius. Like, I know that, like, nowadays you're like, oh yeah, it's him hiding underneath the table with, like, his head sitting there, or there's the giant body cut out with him, like, his hands and his head that, like, the kids do at Halloween. Yeah. And it's like, it's so funny because,
well,
like,
they had trouble getting that one right. because it was coming out too tall or whatever. It was very obvious.
Right. Like, you can't shoot it next to other people. It's not like how they did Lord of the Rings, where it was all the forced perspective. Like, that wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, he had to get pretty clever on that one, so it didn't stand out.
Well, and the thing I'm super interested in is, going off of all great horror comedies such as Evil Dead, they spark a musical on stage.
Yes.
So 2011, you've got the musical version of Re-Animator, and I'm sitting here like, how do you put this on a stage? I know that they have, like, the first 3 rows or the bloodbath area, like, you're in the splash zone.
Well, I think the big question is, did they recreate the Barbara Crampton head scene?
I don't know. They've got it on YouTube, so probably
only guys
not.
would ask that question. Hey, I'll go see that play.
Is the whole show on YouTube?
Yeah, I'll send you a link afterwards.
Oh,
it's through Blasco.
Yeah.
It's the 2023 version.
Okay.
So,
oh my God! Oh, I have to watch that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Send me the link, Kevin.
We'll have to definitely watch that.
Shoot it my way. I'd like to see that. I
didn't
know that was available anywhere. So
technical wise, I'm like, how did they do this on a stage? Like, with the glowing serum and everything else. It's so much fun.
Oh wow! Well, I've seen, for everyone out there who's listening, I've seen the Evil Dead the musical like 3 different times, and as much as I wanted to get. I sit in the splatter zone. I've never been splattered once, but the person I was with has been splattered once. I didn't get any splatter on me. But those type of shows are so much fun to go.
Oh God, yeah.
Yes.
Evil Dead, the musical, you don't think should ever have musical numbers in it, but it's fucking hilarious. Re-Animator, I would love to see and hear the music for that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because I think you can put music to anything if you're creative.
You really could. And I mean, it helps that the entire soundtrack for this is basically just Psycho too. So, like,
yes. Yeah, that's true. I'm glad you brought up the music because the music reminded me so much of a Bernard Herrmann score.
It was.
It starts and then
Psycho.
It goes off on its own. Its own variation. And I remember when I was first watching this on VHS, waiting for the credit to come up because I said, I got to see who's doing the music here. It's not Bernard Herrmann, and it was Richard Band. And I loved Richard Band movies. I never dreamed it was him.
Yeah, well,
he and Brian Usna had the Empire Pictures. That was their gig.
Yep.
Well, and I think that's why Herbert West works so well too. Is like, you've got the Norman Bates-ish guy. It's a comedy version of him with the psycho comedy background music, and you're just like, okay, I know where this is going.
Well, no, yeah, it's like Psycho, except that Bates, Norman Bates, keeps screwing up, and then every screw up,
and then he
reanimates
his mother,
and or whatever. It's just like, let me fix this, and somebody else gets killed. So it's like, I mean, just Wes is just like, oh my God, you just give the guy a shovel. Oh, he uses the shovel to kill him, but I mean, just as like he just keeps digging himself in deeper and deeper into. Let's just pull this Re-Animate out. That'll get me out of this, like it always has in the past. That's right, Herbert.
Hey, it's
good move.
It's all in the spirit of actual research. So every time he kills somebody and reanimates them, he has to take it down in his recorder, take notes. When people, that is so hilarious.
Oh yeah, it was like in the morgue where he says, "Go get the recorder," after this guy has trashed the place and killed Meg's father. Oh, get the recorder. We got to record this.
We got to record it.
We're gonna bring him back.
We're doing it for science.
We're gonna bring him back.
Oh my God! Even when he brings back Dr. Hill, how's it feel?
And of course, and of course, the geek in me was like, okay, now wait a minute, how is Hill talking? Because he's just a head. He doesn't have lungs. It's like
Well, it's like when he's gasping for breath in the bag, and it's like there's no lungs to fill there, buddy.
Yeah, and it's like, where's the larynx in this? Did he cut before or after the larynx so that maybe there's a way to bring air over them or so? I don't know, but it was.
And it's so funny because I've got the IMDb page open so I can look at the actors and their character names, and David Gale's picture is the head in the bag.
Yes.
On IMDb.
Oh my God. So people are still having fun with this movie. I actually wish that they'd done the sequel that Stuart Gordon wanted to do before he passed away, which was House of Re-Animator.
I know.
I saw that. They were saying it was going to be like William H. Macy as the
president. Yes, it'd been perfect.
He talked about that for a very long time. And
I could see William H. Macy playing a character like he did in Fargo and just transferring it over to this. Oh, it'd been perfect.
Yeah. Herbert West, Jeffrey Combs doing his thing with William H. Macy would have been freaking brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been good. It would have been a good ending for both the franchise and, Stuart Gordon's career, because unfortunately he was big on cult movies. His movies never made a whole lot of money. They're all cult movies, so he was never able to jump into the big Hollywood system and make these big movies. I think Stuck was probably the last bit of real casting with a huge cast that he could have done.
Yeah.
But no one knew that he did it, really. It wasn't sold as a Stuart Gordon movie like Dagon was, or The Witch House for Masters of Horror or anything like that. So I think a lot of people just kind of forgot he did Stuck. I thought Stuck was absolutely freaking brilliant, but that's just me.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to go back and watch that again. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
And I still
really good movie.
The thing is that I think he just was one like John Carpenter is now. John Carpenter is now. People don't look. He could make movies, but no one wants to give him money to, because most of his movies didn't make any money.
They do. Well, that's the thing about cult films. For a lot of either directors or whatever, the real money doesn't come in until after they're dead.
Yeah.
It's a lengthy procedure. I mean, it's like, give them 40 years and they're making a ton of money over that period of time.
Well,
but they have to build up that audience over time to become a cult film.
And that's why I love A24 is you've got these people who can make those movies that they want to, and almost every single one they put out has a cult following, and you've got this huge fandom of like people who just love A24 because they keep putting out consistent stuff.
Yeah. So, as we get to the end of our talk with Re-Animator, do you have any final words about this film for the audience? How about you, our youngest member of the troupe, Panozzo? What about you, since you just recently watched the movie?
As much as certain scenes are products of their time and would not be able to happen today, it is a lot of fun. And I do have one fun fact. The reagent itself was luminol, which is
luminol.
It's a chemiluminescence thing, so like it glows naturally.
CSI.
Yep. A fun thing is that it's used that's what they spray at criminal scenes to find blood. So I thought that was really ironic.
I did not know that.
That's what they're injecting into their bodies.
I did not know that. Yeah. Learn something new every day.
But no,
I always wondered what kind of phosphorus and
material
they use for that. That's funny.
It's a fun movie. It's fun little everything. I mean, you get puppets, you get blood, you get all types of stuff.
What about you, Jim? Any last words? Yeah, it's just like, if you're worried about worried about being offended or something like that, then I guess don't watch this movie. But it's just like I'd like to see more movies of this type being made, because we're just too goddamn serious. We have been for a long time, and movies like this will get you in a good mood. And I finally found the quote I was looking for when Herbert West looks at Dr. Hill in the pan, and it's sort of a homage, I think, to The Brain That Wouldn't Die and Jan in the Pan. Who's going to believe a talking head? Get a job in a sideshow.
That's right. He does say that.
You know that somebody out there right now is totally offended at that. It's like, well, sideshow people, man, that's not fair to them. It's like, oh, please.
I mean,
Go back into your parents' basement and
people are going to be insulted with H.P. Lovecraft. So
they are.
Yeah, that's right.
As much as we've discussed one of the reasons why I've never gone out and read some of his stuff is because he was an open racist, and even though
he was,
it's just never been something I want to go out and read his work for. I have to admit that the people who have taken his work and created something out of it. Most everything I've seen, I actually really enjoy. Even this low budget, no budget, crappy stuff that, like, I love the movie The Lurking Fear, and I know a lot of people are going to say, The Lurking Fear is a piece of shit. Yeah, I love that movie too.
That's what makes it so good.
They're fun. They're fun. And The Re-Animator is a fun, entertaining movie, and there is not a dull moment in this film. It takes you the very first scene and never lets you go.
It's
it
true.
Also has a love story in it.
Oh yeah, it's there.
It has a love story in it.
It's got quite a few love stories in there, Kevin.
Oh, yes, it does have a few love stories, isn't it?
Yeah. That's true.
It does have a few love stories. So it
a very unique triangle in this film. That like the total.
You could almost say it's a square.
But these are the things that have made this film endure for so many years with so many different audiences from different generations. And I'm glad I was able to talk with you two on this film because we are made up of 3 different generations who saw this film. I saw it as a teenager. Panozzo just saw it. And of course, Jim was around when it first came out. And
before they even had film projectors. Yes, I know. Yeah. We watched it by candlelight.
You watched it live on stage the way it was intended.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Grand Guignol Theater. Yeah.
Well, this is not something we get to do often here on Conversations in Horror, and when we do, I like to take a little bit more time to discuss these movies. I hope everyone out there who has seen Re-Animator will go out there and watch it with a new perspective, because I hope we have given you a new perspective. If not, I hope you will take what you listen to from our little podcast and go out there and seek out this movie, not only because of the fact that it's one of the better H.P. Lovecraft adaptations out there, but also because it was made with an amazing cast and Stuart Gordon, who I absolutely adore as a director and love most of the work he does, and I'll say it again, space truckers, people.
Oh yeah, that's an underrated classic.
I don't think that gets enough credit because
Space Truckers was much better than Ice Pirates. I'll give it that, boy. I'll tell you, because that was such a disaster.
It's better than Ice Pirates, and I absolutely love Ice Pirates too.
Oh yeah, I know, I did too. Yeah, I went and saw all of them. I mean, that's back when back in the days when you could go see a movie for a couple of bucks. But so you weren't out that much money.
I will say this, one last thing: the '80s was a great decade for all genres of films to explore and throw everything at the canvas. Everything.
Oh God, yes.
The Adventures of Remo Williams, Buckaroo Banzai, Across the Dimension. You've got a plethora of crazy films out there. Re-Animator was just one that, like Panozzo said, it kind of was a splatter film with comedy, which no one had really seen. These type of movies are the reason why '80s movies have stuck for so long, because they kind of cross a lot of different genres, and they are not just good stories, but they're also entertaining. So
yeah. And you had directors who just didn't want to do the same thing over and over again, which you were getting in the splatter films, because it was sort of like you've seen one, seen them all. Yep. Not with this one. You're not going to find many like this one.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie like this one.
No.
With that, I want to thank my guests, Jim and Sarah, for joining me on this amazing adventure of Conversation in Horror as we discuss H.P. Lovecraft's The Re-Animator, as directed by Stuart Gordon and starring Jeffrey Combs, of all people. Yes. I hope you've had a pleasant experience listening to us talk about this movie, and we hope that you'll seek out some of our previous episodes and stick around to keep listening to more of the amazing podcast episodes we have coming up. Thank you for joining us at Conversation in Horror. My name is Kevin L. Powers, and you all have a pleasant day. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, produced by Kevin L. Powers, executive produced by Kelly A. Inoka, and originally filmed via Zoom technology. Conversations in Horror is hosted by Kevin L. Powers and co-hosted by various horror film lovers and filmmakers. To learn more about Mr. Powers, please make sure to check out his Patreon page and other social media platforms. Conversations in Horror is copyright 2024 Broken Lighthouse Pictures production.